there is discussion even now about what free speech should look like on the aftermath of an election, that the outcome of the election could actually determine if the First Amendment changes. That is a proposal by a current candidate for office, that just wait until after the election, we can do something about free speech, which is just, it's absolutely nuts that would be a discussion, but it is.
Well, I think we have to recognize something, is that there's a major departure that's taken place within the American political spectrum. So if you look at our Declaration of Independence, right, and we talk about, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their creator. There's certain presuppositions in there, right? There's objective truth, there's objective morality, that there's a moral lawgiver, and that governments are set up in order to protect these things, right? So these are fundamental American presuppositions. We haven't always lived up to them, but they're fundamental presuppositions. And there is a wide political spectrum that can share those fundamental presuppositions. You can believe in all those things and want a bigger government. I don't think it's a good idea, but it's not necessarily a violation of certain core principles. Right? You can believe that you want more government involvement in, like, let's say, the provision of education, and you can still have those ideas. What we're experiencing now is a significant movement within the United States, which has a great deal of social and political power, that doesn't believe in objective truth and doesn't believe in objective morality. Well, if you don't believe in those two things, you can theoretically justify anything.
Yeah.
And so it's important to understand that if you are, let's say you're a liberal in more of the classical definition of the word, well then, obviously you can operate in this environment, the traditional American environment, fairly easily. You can disagree about stuff. It's not bad. But over on this side, and free speech is a value.
Right.
Free speech is a value. On this side, on leftism rooted in critical theory. This is where you get into like Herbert Marcuse and postmodernist tradition with Michel Foucault. Free speech is not a value over here.
It's not.
It's not. In fact, free speech provides the oppressor an opportunity to facilitate oppression. So of course we don't want certain people to have free speech, or of course we don't want certain ideas to be spoken freely, because that causes harm to the oppressed. So it's really important to understand that there are definitely some liberals that we may disagree with, but yes, free speech is a value to them because they still believe in the idea of objective truth, that there's various ways that we can go about discovering that truth. It is not a value in leftist and critical theory-based ideology.
Yeah.
They say as much. They devalue what we might call logic or critical thinking or linear thinking in favor of lived experience or the narrative of the oppressed.
Yeah.
So as long as you understand that when they say this, it shouldn't shock us. What it does is it indicates to us where they really fall on the political spectrum.
I love that you just said that. I literally was on a show just last week where it was talking about, this is not a difference between red versus blue in our current debate. This is two diametrically opposed worldviews right now. The reason why this is the most critical election in critical times, even if this election, the right person were to win, okay, which I actually think that polling is showing that's likely to be true. Now, we're far from out of the woods on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Far from out of the woods. But like, it comes down to, it's not just a difference of this policy versus this policy. It's the difference between a candidate who believes that there is no objective morality, no objective truth, okay, and somebody who still believes that 2 + 2 is and always will be 4.
Yeah.
That there is such a thing as right triangles and they're always 90 degrees, right? This is rectilinear logic.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a debate with a child who thinks that they can always reinvent the rules every 5 seconds? I remember the movie Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, and he's like, "What's going on? I win. The game is I win." And so you're debating with a child who cannot be reasoned with versus somebody else who says, "You know what? I disagree with you, but I understand you at least. Yeah. At least we're talking the same language." Mm-hmm. I can have a debate on abortion with that person. I can have a debate about marriage with that person. I can have a debate about sexuality with that person, and then policies, right, with that person. But we're talking about literally radical subjectivism versus, okay, you have old Democrats, new Republicans, but they still believe in some modicum of truth over here in this category.
Yeah. Well, and you're seeing that. You saw this too with kind of like the intellectual dark web. You see it with like Eric and Brett Weinstein. You've seen it with others, where Eric Weinstein said, "I don't have a Republican bone in my body," but he believes in objective truth. He believes in critical thinking. He believes that the scientific method is a pretty good process for discovering things about observable reality. And yet he was being told, well, no, you have to regurgitate the new leftist catechism. No.
Yeah.
Well, then you're not one of us. He's like, you're kidding me. I voted with you this whole time. I've agreed with you. We've supported this, and now I'm just not there because I don't agree on this. Yes, because that element is fundamental to modern leftism. And we need to make a distinction between liberalism, as we understand it, kind of the modern political, and then leftism. So this is, I think all of us would love to believe, look, at the end of the day, we're all Americans and we all want what's best, and no, that's not true. And saying it over and over again is not going to make it true. When you have diametrically opposed worldviews fighting over what is going to be the dominant worldview with respect to society, one side's going to win. Now, what I like to commonly point out is, in the realm of objective truth and objective morality and freedom of inquiry and freedom of speech, we allow competing theories to come in and state their case. Can you say the same thing about a leftist environment? Do we really think there's going to be just freedom of speech and freedom of inquiry in a leftist environment? We know there won't be, because it's not a value. Their values don't include that, so we shouldn't expect it to. But we should also stop pretending that, well, no, it's basically the same. No, it isn't.
This is not some old debate that we have every election cycle between, some marginal tax rate, here or there. How much should we raise the debt ceiling? Those types of things. Those are issues now on the periphery. We're talking about something that is fundamentally entirely different, that will either save freedom as we know it, or fundamentally transform society where it's unrecognizable. Hey, did you find this helpful? I hope you did. Please like and subscribe, share with a friend, and also go to standingforfreedom.com, where you can find more content, articles, podcasts, and our Theology of Politics series, all at standingforfreedom.com.